Good evening, Council, members of the public, our friends at the media. I'd like to call to order the regular council meeting of Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. First up on the agenda is 2.1 with some indulgence, please, to include adoption as amended. Item 8.7, Canada's Critical Minerals Infrastructure Fund, request to council in the reading file. Moved by Councillor McLean, second by Councillor Mullock. Any further additions or deletions? All in favor? It's carried. 3.1, looking to adopt the minutes of the June 10th, 2025 regular meeting of council, please. Councillor Mullock, thank you. Councillor Pearson, any errors or omissions arising? All in favor? Carried. 3.2, adoption of the minutes of the June 10th, 2025 special meeting of council. Moved by Councillor Pearson, second by Councillor Mullock. Any errors or omissions arising? All in favor? It's carried. Under 4.1, we do have a delegation from Alcohany Limited regarding the Dogwood Street and Fifth Avenue rail crossings. We have with a presentation from Caleb Martinen and Joel Taker via Zoom. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The floor is yours.
Perfect.
Virtually, of course.
Sure. Share my screen. Yeah, as mentioned, I am Caleb Martinen, traffic engineer in training, working for McLean out of the Prince George office. I'm joined here with Joel Taker.
Just give us half a second, gentlemen. We're gonna just raise some volume. Can you do another sound check for us?
Yeah, is that any better or still good?
Mr. Sachuk? Great, thank you.
Alrighty. Can you see my screen there?
Absolutely.
Sounds good. I guess I'll just jump right in here. I don't know if Joel, did you already introduce yourself, or sorry, I sort of jumped there.
Sure, I'll go ahead. Yeah, Joel Taker from McElhaney and Prince George, traffic and transportation engineer.
Perfect. Alrighty, yeah, as mentioned, we'll be presenting on the whistle cessation safety assessment at the Dogwood Street and Fifth Avenue rail crossings. I'm sure you're all familiar with the area, but just for the sake of laying some groundwork, I thought I'd run through the crossing locations. The first one, as mentioned, is Main Street and Fifth Avenue. That's in the CN Alberta subdivision at mile 74.74. And then the second crossing is the Main Street and Dogwood Street, which is to the north there at mile 74.22. So for the safety assessment, we considered several key components, I guess you would say. The first being train and vehicle volumes. We also considered the geometry of the crossings themselves, as well as sight distances to the tracks, as well as down the tracks. We considered signage and pavement markings. We completed some community engagement. We investigated some trespassing concerns that CN had. And then finally, we analyzed the warning systems, so the gates and lights there. I'll start off by just running through the actual volumes on the tracks and the roadways. Should be noted that these are average annual daily volumes, so they may change from day to day, but throughout the year, this is sort of the typical volume that can be expected. So for the railway, we have 24 trains per day. This was provided to us by CN. To the south there on Fifth Avenue, we have approximately 950 vehicles per day. And then Dogwood Street, we have approximately 650 vehicles per day. The traffic volumes were completed as part of the study. We set up traffic counters and counted the volumes there for the roadways. Next, I'll discuss the signage and paint markings.
Sorry, Caleb, just a quick question. Can you remind council the time of year that you did the vehicle per day traffic study, please?
That was the traffic volumes.
Yes, please.
I do not recall the exact, but it was spring or around springtime, so late spring, early summer, if I recall correctly. And then we did consider seasonal factors, and we scaled them to account for any seasonal growth based on highway through volume patterns and other data there.
Thank you.
No worries. Continue on here. We have this graphic here, sort of illustrates some of the considerations we made for signage and paint markings. There were sort of two main components here. The first is the warning signs. These are illustrated or pictured in those yellow signs there on the graphic on each approach. So just sort of warning roadway vehicles that there is a rail crossing there. And the second is painted crossing symbols and road lines. So for example, the standard X symbols before each approach. Those both the signs and the paint lines were missing, so that would be something that typically would be implemented, especially for whistle cessation. Next up, I'll talk about the community engagement. So we posted an online and also paper copy survey, 7-question anonymous survey. We received 288 responses, which is a fairly significant amount for given the population of Valemount. I won't run through all 7 questions, but just briefly, 2 of the main or more critical ones. The first being, how often are you disturbed or awoken by train whistles in Valemount? As you can see in the graphic there, 72% of the 288 responses were more than 3 times a week. So that could be awoken from sleep or some other disturbance. And the second one here is, would you support the elimination of the train whistles at the 2 rail crossings in Valemount? So again, of the 288 responses received, 92% voted yes and 8% voted no for various reasons outlined in the survey. Next up is, sorry, somebody is saying something or?
Just to answer the previous question there, Caleb, I was able to check in the report, and the traffic counts were completed June 19th and 20th, 2024.
Alrighty, perfect. Yeah, so for these trespassing concerns from CN, we met with CN police when we were on site doing the measurements and whatnot, and they brought three locations of that they were concerned with. The first being a trail that runs along Cedar Street, so that runs north-south across the tracks from Cedar Street to Main Street. This is primarily expected to be sort of a shortcut, for lack of a better term, around the dedicated existing roadways there. The second location is the Via Rail passenger train stop. They noted that folks weren't necessarily crossing the tracks here. However, they were more loitering on and around the tracks as they waited for the train. And then the third location is a small private trail to the north. This was ultimately considered outside of the scope of the whistle cessation study area.
Just update there, Caleb, on number 3. That is now a dedicated private crossing.
All right, so it's being final or formalized.
Yeah, it's been mitigated.
Perfect. Good to know. And then for the warning system in this context sort of relates to the flashers, the alarm bells, and then the crossing gates, as you can see pictured there. So as part of the study, we were required to reevaluate the design vehicle. So the existing design vehicle is a passenger car, so that would be like a typical SUV or pickup truck. However, due to the school bus route that uses one of the crossings, as well as some of the vehicles that can be expected to frequently use, such as trailers with, say, snowmobiles, for example, longer trailers that may take more time to cross. That being said, we considered the change from passenger car design vehicle to iBus. With that design vehicle change comes a change of various warning times. I won't run through all the specific values here, but sort of just to give an example is the gate arm clearance time. The existing time is 9 seconds, which was provided by CN. So that's the existing time as it is. The required time for the passenger vehicle or the current design vehicle is 6.4 seconds. And then for the proposed design, IBUS design vehicle, the calculations work out to be 8.9 seconds. It might be easy to conduce that the 9 seconds existing time is below both the values, so therefore the time is good or sufficient. However, warning systems in general, especially for railways, are quite complex, and there's a high focus on safety. So it's sort of a trickle water or a waterfall effect that it may affect other factors. All that to say, with the warning system, we are still discussing with CN what may be required infrastructure or otherwise to support the changes. And then finally, next steps as far as the whistle cessation goes, as I just mentioned, continuing discussions with CN Rail on the warning system timing requirements and whatever infrastructure or what have you that may entail. Installing additional signage and paint markings as per the drawings that were completed with the safety assessment, and then mitigating any trespassing concerns that were outlined in the report. There are also maybe a couple other more minor concerns that were outlined in the report, but nothing too major. And that concludes our brief presentation here. Thanks for your time on this, and if there's any questions.
Thank you very much. Motion to receive the delegation. Moved by Councillor Pearson, second by Councillor Mullock. Questions for the delegation? Councillor Pearson.
Couple questions. Actually, one comment. I believe the signage and paint is complete currently in driving through those crossings. Everything as per that diagram looks complete. That's curious. I have a bit of a background with crossings, and I've never heard the definition gate arm clearance. I wonder if you have a definition, because that was never anything I dealt with as a signal maintainer, maintaining those crossings as a gate arm clearance time of 9 seconds.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good question. I just could have clarified. I don't have an exact definition, but essentially it's the time that a vehicle would take to travel through the crossing from a stop such that the gate doesn't close on it. So if the gate arm clearance time was 0 seconds, for example, a train might pull up, the gate arm would start dropping immediately, more or less. And if there's a vehicle stopped at the railway, the gate arm would essentially start dropping on them. I'm not sure if Joel has any other comments there, but essentially that is my understanding of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, just not a definition I've heard in my time there, but because we're more worried about approach times from the crossing starts to when the gates hit the parallel. So
yeah, for sure.
I would comment too on your definition of loitering for passengers waiting for a via train. They're kind of mandated to wait there for a train. I wouldn't describe that as loitering, but just an observation. So that's all for me.
Yeah, that's also a good comment. I guess the concern was more loitering near the tracks versus on the dedicated pad. So say, for example, if there was a bench installed by Via Rail that the passengers could wait on, that would be perhaps an appropriate solution. But
I think there was also cases where people were waiting well before or well beyond the time as well. Is that right?
I don't know if you want to open that can of worms with VIA and their scheduling, because an 8-hour delay in a passenger train is not unusual in the wintertime here. So that's all.
Any questions from members? In your discussions with CN with the 9-second drop time and the IBUS clearance time of 8.9 seconds, is it in your opinion that given CN's focus on safety, that they've just met the bare minimum?
sorry, they've met the bare minimum for the existing
Yeah.
existing passenger car.
Yes, and the iBus, I believe, was 8.9 seconds.
Yeah, so the iBus, perhaps I'll just run back through here just for. Yeah, so the iBus requires 8.9 seconds. There is 9 seconds existing. However, this is sort of one factor as previously was mentioned there. The gate arm clearance time is sort of a combination of, or sorry, the crossing warning time is sort of a combination of multiple timing factors such as gate arm clearance time. So just, I guess my point being, this one value might trigger affect other values.
Okay,
Needless to say.
thank you very much. Anything further? With your, any previous work that you've done with whistle cessation in other communities where if there had to have been significant upgrades with CN infrastructure, what are your thoughts on the success rate of grant funding?
I do know there is opportunity. I was working for Kamloops previously, and they were going through. I think actually Lori McNee sent something similar. They were working through grant funding, and they were successful in receiving grants. However, I'm not familiar enough to say that definitively whether it's a high chance in this scenario or not. But there definitely is opportunity there for sure.
Okay, thank you. More questions, Councillor Pearson?
Yeah, one other question. I'm curious if it's anything you've looked at. Communities with the track speed that we have being successful with whistle cessation. We are 50 and 55 mile an hour track through town. And I'm just wondering if there are other communities out there that have been successful for whistle cessation with that track speed.
Again, it's sort of difficult to say, but I think actually for passenger trains, the speed is might be even 65 miles per hour, and then for cargo, it's 55. So again, it is quite high, but that is sort of dependent on CN. They were initially sort of I wouldn't say in agreement, but they didn't necessarily bring any concerns forward of the track speed, I guess is maybe one way of saying it.
Okay, thanks for that.
Want to call?
Yeah, and I would say too that the sight distance would be a good mitigation against a higher track speed. And we found that with a bit of brushing, the sight distances could be quite good at those two crossings, which would help.
That's for sure.
Thank you for that clarification. Anything further from council? Well, Mr. Martin, Mr. Taker, thank you so much for presenting to council this evening. We really appreciate the work and effort that's gone into this partnership with the Village of Valemount. So we look forward to next steps.
For sure. Yeah, we've definitely enjoyed the project, and hopefully it works out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Have a great evening.
You as well.
Any questions, comments on the delegation itself? All in favor of receipt? It's carried. Well, great segue. 5.1 under administrative reports, whistle cessation assessment report. We're looking for one of two from council. Either number one, that the village proceeds with whistle cessation, which will commence with confirming next steps in the process with CN and researching grants to cover the cost of the crossing upgrades quoted for this year, $1,500,881,641, or we don't proceed. What's council's wish? Councillor Pearson.
I think I would move with option one to pursue, and if grant funding is available, to proceed.
Seconder. Councillor Mullick, thank you. Discussion? Councillor McLean?
Has there been any research done where 100% of it was funded through grants? That there mentions a CN grant in here. But is it clear to us that there could be the opportunity to receive the whole thing as a grant?
Roll the dice. That's grant writing, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's coming from Transport Canada, the feds, the province, the roadway user, other grants, piecemeal. We just have to hope that luck's on our side. Further discussion? All in favor? Carried. 5.2, the 2024 annual report, looking to approve. Moved by Councillor Pearson, second by Councillor Mullock. Discussion on the annual report?
Great report.
Yeah. All in favor? Carried. 5.3, the 2024 Statement of Financial Information, looking to approve. Moved by Councillor McLean, second by Councillor Mullock. Discussion on the SOFI. All in favor? Carried. 5.4 for information, you have the Columbia Basin Trust Community Readiness Partnership Emergency Mobile Unit success story in front of you. Any questions, comments?
Just for clarification, that's not it parked outside the building.
That is not.
We saw this on the agenda and all of a sudden there was a trailer. I'm like, wow, that's big.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson, for the great report and work on getting that asset. Thank you. Bylaws and policies, 6.1, Village of Valemount Official Community Plan Bylaw number 843, 2021, Amendment Bylaw number 904, 2025, looking to adopt as presented. Moved by Councillor Mullock, second by Councillor McLean. Discussion on final. All in favor? Carried. 6.2, Village of Valemount Cemetery Bylaw number 865, 2012, Amendment Bylaw number 908, 2025, looking for final. Moved by Councillor Mullock, second by Councillor Pearson. Discussion. Councillor Pearson.
I just want to thank staff for the comparative table on what other communities are doing. It's quite interesting since we don't have experience with a columbarium as such.
Yeah.
So that was good information, I think.
Yeah, super helpful. Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 6.3, Village of Valemount Fees and Charges Bylaw number 869, 2023, Amendment Bylaw number 909, 2025, looking for final. Councillor McLean, second by Councillor Mullock. Discussion? All in favor? It's carried. Reading file, anything folks would like to bring to surface? The new addition, the late addition is the Canada's Critical Mineral Infrastructure Fund. You want to just take a quick second to, we received a request from President Chris Grove of Capacitor Metals. They're looking to advance the Blue River Tantalum and Niobium projects south of Valemount. You might remember that from the Commerce Resources days. They are applying to Canada's Critical Minerals Infrastructure Fund, and they're hoping for a letter of support for the project. I would caution slightly, council, under section 25 says, of the community charter says we will not provide benefit to business or single business, but I would be in favor of writing a support letter in favor of the mining industry in general, and that securing or 165 well-paying jobs would be a good addition to this area. I did, if anyone's comfortable with moving that, I can talk more on it. Moved by Councillor McLean, second by Councillor Mullock. I did have a chat with Cookby Lampro. They are in favor of the project. They are in favor of economic development here in the Northern Territory. And so, again, not singling out capacitor metals, but writing a letter in favor of the mining industry as a whole. Responsible, sustainable mining. I would be in favor of that. Comfortable with the question? All in favor? Carried. Anything else in the reading file, folks? Okay. Is there a notice of motion to be brought forward? You've been awfully quiet over there, Councillor Pearson, for the last 4 or 5 meetings. No notices of motion coming
I
forward.
left mine at home on the desk.
Next time. Then we will move on to council reports. Maybe. Councillor McLean.
I only had 2 things this period. One of them was on June 18th, I attended the regular meeting of the Valemount Community Forest. And later that day, I attended the BC Hydro update meeting.
Was it everything you hoped?
Actually, it wasn't. I did bring up the dust issue. I also brought up the salvage issue, which you and I brought up last year at this time, of metals and debris, concrete debris, industrial debris. And all the answer came back and it was said, oh, we already discussed this with the mayor. So I assumed that was last year, and it wasn't much of a discussion. It was an idea put forth when we heard that in other places that debris was being cleaned up, industrial debris, not just, yeah. The dust thing, I worded it, it was in the chat, and I kind of said, you know, any plans for some innovative ways to mitigate the dust that Valemount is forced to endure on an annual basis, you know, from winter right through. And of course, I was the community liaison, Susan Edgell, came back right away and said, oh, I've discussed this with you at length. There's a report already done on this, the study, and it's not really a concern. And I came back and said, things have changed. I'd be remiss if I didn't report this on behalf of our community. And so then right away, there was a couple of likes to that one. Other local government people and also DAG liked my response, because I would be remiss. This dust is happening. That report is outdated. There are things about the report that are never brought up, such as there is a recommendation that we look into this further. Yours missed off the report. 2021 is a long time ago. Things have changed. So,
Especially when their capture dates were 10 years and 7 years are missing.
yeah, exactly. So I responded to a request for a meeting from Susan. I think I let you see the response.
In my calendar.
Yeah, and so I would like to see us fully research this and go through that whole study piece by piece and ask for it to be revisited, because to say that this is not a problem and that these dust storms are caused by local dust is wrong. And every time I discuss this with them, I feel like I'm being gaslighted once again.
Do what we can do on the 3rd. Councillor Pearson. Sorry, was that concluded?
That was all, yeah.
Councillor Pearson.
June 11th, I had wearing my Trans-Canada Yellowhead Highway Association hat, Zoom meeting with Senator Sorensen, who's a former 3-term mayor of Banff.
Karen.
Yeah, had a great conversation. We talked many things, highway related, economic corridor, and tourism, because she's got a very big background in tourism. And it was interesting because it was brought to our attention that through one of our members being at a function and talking about what we do, and it's like, and why have we never talked to a senator? everybody forgets the upper house. It's like, so we had a great conversation.
Pointed house.
Yeah. And she's actually working to set us up with a Zoom call with many Western senators to talk about our advocacy work
Great work.
for the association. So it was a great conversation. June 12th, attended the Geohazard Snowpack Research Community Update by Dr. Joe Shea of UMBC. There was a decent crowd, about 25 people for his presentation, getting an update. June 18th, I sat in on the EMCR update call for the mayor. A lot of the information was pretty standard, but the one thing that kind of stood out for me when they started talking about our fire situation this year, because we're hearing what's happening up north, but nothing's in our backyard. But at that point, 622,000 hectares had burned this year already, which is 7 times the 20-year average for this period of time. So that was kind of a standout in my mind. And then June 18th, I also had the Valemount Historic Society meeting. And that was it for me.
Of the 600 and some thousand hectares burned, are they a majority of that holdover fires from the previous year?
Holdover fires and mostly northeast.
Thank you. Great work on that chat with Senator. Councillor Mullock.
On June 16th, I attended a Regional Advisory Committee meeting with Northern Development Initiative Trust. And on June 24th, today, I attended a Tourism Valemount meeting. And we discussed a number of the upcoming events for this summer. And I have to put in a plug for June 28th for the Berg Lake Trail reopening. That's coming up pretty fast. So hopefully we'll see lots of folks there. It'd be a lot of fun.
And that's right at the trailhead.
Right at the trailhead, yes.
Perfect. Sorry, was that?
No, that's it.
June 11th, in the afternoon, prior to the public update, I did have CAO Iansu and I had an update from Dr. Joe Shea on the Robson Valley Geohazards Project, and a couple of his master's students. I'm sure we're at the Mackenzie. I think most of you met her last year. She was working on her master's. She's a recent graduate, now working on her further research towards her PhD. Yeah. June 12th, had a virtual meeting with Strategies North, our CAO, with Prairies Can and Pacific Can around the Valemount business economic recovery. Again, lots of nice words, lots of thank yous, and a lot of, wow, we don't have a program for that. And no real commitment to change that. We did learn that the current Minister of Emergency Management and Minister responsible for Prairies Can will be in the Jasper area in and around Canada Day. So we're trying to set up a meeting directly with the Minister to see what we can get done there. And then I was on the road to Mackenzie. Thank you, Councillor Pearson, for taking on the hazards call. It's changed in the last, I think I was playing hockey there in 1993. Yeah, it's changed just a tiny bit. And I had not realized, like I knew it was like a design town, much like Chetwynd or Kitimat, basically just to wrangle in some of the forest-based piracy camps and all those other things happening in that area. And it's one of the largest towns in British Columbia at 212 square kilometers. It's huge. So pre-designed or designed prior to the flooding of the reservoir. So going over the Peace River by quite a ways, but with the reservoir coming in, it just holds a bit of a shoreline on the west side. That's my report. Any questions? What are we going to do now? Calendar of events is there before you. Just a couple of additions to make note. On June 27th, there is going to be a small barbecue at the Ash Street Fire Smart area in collaboration with Oh, 25th. Thank you.
Wednesday.
Tomorrow, I was going to say.
Told me that today.
So tomorrow, not Friday, so your Fridays are off. Come and enjoy, what time, Ms. Anderson, please? 3 till 7, come and enjoy a barbecue at the Fire Smart area of the Ash Street area. And then on July 17th is the Valemount Community Forest AGM. 6 o'clock, I think. Yeah. It should be in the paper well into July, so stay tuned. And then just to reiterate Councillor Mullock's comments, if you can be out at the trailhead, Berg Lake, grand reopening. Ceremonies start at 10. A little bit of setup between 8 and 10, but we'll have a couple of opening statements from delegations, as well as a bit of a ceremony and prayer from our partners at First Nation. We have time for public comment this evening under 14.1 on items considered by council as part of the approved agenda. Are there any public comments this evening?
Thank you, Junior Sajik. I wanted to talk about the whistle cessation deal there. You guys are going to look into it further. You know, I think it's really early stages because, you know, once they voted on that study, 92% to go. The public comments was 92% to approve it, eh? But right now it's saying 1.5 million in 2025. And we know how CN Corporation works in any kind of a process. It could be years. So that number is out to lunch. And how many of these systems are there in BC, like operational? Any idea, you guys? Yeah.
There's more in Alberta, Junior, but I know most of the western, like Highway 16 communities are already silent. Like Port Ed, Prince Rupert, even further this way, Smithers, Terrace, you don't hear nothing over there in terms of whistling.
My thought is like, you know, if it's going to be 2 million, 2.5, 3 million, there's no way that you're going to get grants to cover completely all that. So you're going to have to go to the, you know, village residents, ask them if they're willing to get taxed more money.
Well, again,
I thought-
it's a roll of the dice, Mr. Sajak.
Oh, I know.
That's what grants are.
Yeah,
And there's been other communities successful in obtaining them from Transport Canada.
100%?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I'll believe you.
We'll try. Like, we
I know.
don't want to put this on the taxpayer.
Yeah, no, for sure.
They've
Then I
they've been
see,
suffering enough by being woken up
you know,
every single time a train goes through.
so another thing I wanted to ask was, Helen Park sent a letter to council, so, which I'm appreciative of and everything else. And I'm just wondering if that Dogwood Street is anything moving forward, or we're in the same position, or nothing going to happen this year?
Nothing this year. No. There is a possibility we might be able to obtain grindings from the paving project on the highway. There's only a limited amount of existing grindings that new pavement standards can take. I think it's 20%. So 80% of those grindings need to go somewhere else. We might be able to work something with our partners at Terrace to dump a few loads on top of Dogwood and work it in.
Sure. I remember when Tom Dahl was here years ago, they saved a whole bunch of that and ended up doing it on Dogwood. But then when Timbro was here, well, all that disappeared.
Well, 80% of the product that they grind up between here and Tijon has to go somewhere.
Yeah, so,
there might be a possibility.
We got Dogwood open for them. That's about it.
Thank you for inspiring that idea.
And one thing I noticed when Michael was doing the meetings, he'd post all the time about the meetings are coming up. But since town took it over, there's nothing posted on bulletin board. I know I'm the only guy that ever comes, but you never know. We might get a surprise visitor.
And we are appreciative.
Yeah. Thank you.
Is? Okay. I'm told it is on our Facebook page, second and fourth Tuesdays of the month.
Facebook page, I always see, I don't go on, oh, you're talking on the Village of Valemount one. I actually was pretty impressed. I did the proper homework today, went through about all the meetings, and all the comments, all the letters. It was quite informative.
Oh, good, good. You're welcome. And thank you for your comment. Any further comments this evening? Then looking to council to proceed in camera for a closed meeting for consideration of one item per section 91G of the community charter to discuss matters related to G, litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality. Moved by Councillor Pearson, second by Councillor Mullock. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.